Ouseburn is an old industrial area that has been left unattended by Newcastle City Council. The lack of government investment in the area has helped foster an organization called the Ouseburn Trust. We meet with Dave Balland, who is a part of the trust, to discuss the history and regeneration of this area.
Me and some other people down here were worried that there wasn't going to be anyone sort of coordinating and having a strategic view of how Ouseburn was going, so set up another organisation to try and run that, and that's eventually amalgamated into the Ouseburn Trust. So the trust is the main sort of overseer of what's happening down here at the moment. City Council does stuff, but they're so short-staffed, and they're concentrating on things like Science Central, which is much more, high-powered and much more sexy than down here.
Keep that in mind when we visit it later, yeah.
Yeah. So it's quite a good contrast. There's loads and loads of money going into there, not much money coming into here. This valley here was the sort of centre of the Industrial Revolution on sort of Tyneside from the sort of 17th century, where down the bottom end of Ouseburn, which I'll show you quickly, this guy called Robert Mansell, had the monopoly for window glass in the whole of the UK. So there were loads of glass works down there in the 1700s. They supplied the whole of the UK, and that lasted for about 30 or 40 years. And from there, various other industrial enterprises, pottery and all sorts of heavy industry started down here, really based on this part of the UK's is like a coal mining area. And so the coal would go down south to be sold, and the ballast in the boats that came back was used as raw materials for, they brought back as clay for the pottery industry and all sorts of other raw materials for the various other industries down here. You probably won't know, but there was a UK band called The Jam that became pretty big. Well, at the time, Penetration were as big as The Jam, but they decided they didn't want to tour and stuff like that. So the lead singer, Pauline Murray, had a baby, and then she rented a place around the corner here and rented it out to other bands for the band practice and rehearsal. And that started to bring the musicians down here, and the place started to change. It was, rather than a dangerous area to go to, it was a cool place to go to.
Ouseburn wants to keep the past relics and customs of the people that have lived there for generations. This includes old industrial buildings, glass kilns, colourful boats, and the local pigeon racing tradition.
So there's been, for 30, 40 years, there's been this slow sort of bottom-up idea of developing a mixed-use economy down here. Sort of urban village was a thing touted originally, and then it became sort of live, work and play, a sort of mixed-use area based on trying to preserve the character of the area. You can see it's got a sort of thing about it, in a valley with bridges going over, quite a lot of green space down here. That was also government legislation to try and improve the health of the population. They gave councils money to buy up industrial areas and put in green spaces, so there's quite a lot of green space up here.